All right, good morning, traders. Today is September 1st, 2023. Rabbit. My SPY pivot this morning is 451.40. Speaking about the market yesterday, SPY, IWM, FNGU, and QQQ continued to grind higher with higher highs and higher lows on their daily charts. The diamonds continue to grind higher, although it was rejected at the minor resistance. The U.S. dollar index, silver, gold, and crude oil remain in their daily uptrends. Natural gas is struggling at the bear flag midpoint. Now, not the whole flag, including the pole, just the flag. All right, so regarding all the markets, and that would be the SPY, FNGU, QQQ, IWM, SPY, and Diamond Dow. All right, we're up 5 days, 5 continuous days. All right, we could see a pullback on this options expiration Friday, so I'm waving the caution flag. I'm not saying we will pull back today. I'm saying be ready for the possibility. Possible pullback targets are anchored VWAP in the 446, 447 area. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's move this and dig into the markets here, and let's pull up our chart of SPY. All right, so here's SPY, and here's our downtrend line right there, and you can see we spiked the downtrend line. And yesterday's price action, we had a little downtrend, little 10-minute downtrend on the SPY, and we can dig into that. See right there, there's our little 10-minute downtrend on SPY with lower highs and lower lows, equal high, kind of a lower low there. Now we're gapping up today. We'll see what they want to do with this. All right, targets up ahead. We do have a gap at 453.50 if they continue to grind up to that gap area up there. Now, if we pull this back, all the way back, and put the quad lines in. Let's pull back a little further, get them all the way in there. There we are. Okay, you can see us. Here we are. Here's quadrant 4 up here. You can see us. We knocked on the door of quadrant 4 yesterday. All right, so looks like we're going to be possibly knocking on the door again today. We'll see what happens. Again, 453.50, there's an open gap, and we could slice right through that rather quickly. We'll see what happens, all right? Targets for the downside are the midpoint right here, the backside of this downtrend line, and the anchored VWAP, which is this blue line right here. Anchored VWAP is at 446.11. They'll probably spike it and hit the backside of the downtrend line. We'll see what happens if they decide to come down. Right now, kind of gapping up this morning. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so back to the daily chart. All right, these are our uptrend lines right through here on the daily chart. You can see we're trying to breach right over the top of this uptrend line right there. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's go take a look at QQQ. All right, so here's the Qs. We're going to drag this out so you can see where we are with the QQQ. Here's yesterday's price action, putting in a higher high and a higher low. I got my cursor reversed there, but a higher high up here and a higher low. Okay, here's the downtrend, spike in the downtrend, and knocking on the door of quadrant 4. That's QQQ. Looking really rather bullish. And if you look at it, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days up. All right, so We'll see what happens. We could come back. We could get a 3-day rest. We'll see what happens here on QQQ if they're going to continue to grind it up higher. We're due for a rest. In my opinion, it doesn't mean we're going to get the rest. We'll see what happens. FNGU. Now, this is the one that moves the markets, especially the SPY and the Dow. The SPY and the QQQ. All right, so here's FNGU, and here is our head and shoulders. This would be the neckline, this gold line right here. These are our downtrend lines, and you can see yesterday we got 5 days up, and we right there, you see higher high, right up there, made a higher high and a higher low yesterday for the daily candle of FNGU. Now, if we drag out the quad lines, and you can see we spiked the midpoint yesterday. Now, we already attacked it here before, and we're spiking it again 6 days later. So here's FNGU. Now, whether they can close candles up over this midpoint would be important, okay? Like to see it close candles up here. That would be a very bullish sign for the FNGU. If not, probably might have to come back down and test the midpoint of this little rally up, and then maybe test the lows, and maybe test the recent low right down here. We'll see what happens. That's FNGU. If they decide to move higher, they get up over the midpoint. The next plan of action is to move up and try to spike this or get through it, this neckline here for the FNGU. So we start closing candles over the midpoint. Look for them to attack the 190 area. Over the 190 area, we're going to look at, spike in the midpoint. Over the midpoint, if we happen to climb and start closing candles over, that's not the midpoint, that's the neckline. If we start to close candles over the neckline, then you'll look for targets of $200. That will be our target up there. All right, so there's FNGU. On the downside, a pullback to the backside of this downtrend line might be in order. They could even spike it a little bit and J-hook off of it. We'll see what happens. I have no idea what they have in store for us today. So there's FNGU. Now let's look at IWM. All right, here's IWM. IWM pulling back here. Notice the daily candle. It's a red one, but nonetheless, a higher low and a higher high. So still working up. Got a little daily uptrend happening here. Notice we've got green trend indicators on, SPY, FNGU, QQQ, and IWM. So price action kind of closing candles up over the 17 EMA. So starting those daily uptrends again. All right, so there's IWM. Now, if we put the quad lines in there, we'll see where that fans out at. And you can see here's the price action kind of knocking on the door at the midpoint yesterday. So we'll see what happens with IWM today. All right, so there's IWM. Now, if we look at the indicators, and then I'm going to go hit the Dow. So hit the indicators. So here's yesterday's indicators. Now, this is the 15-minute chart. All right, this was the buy zone. We were up in the buy zone. We even spiked the overbought zone for probably a couple minutes yesterday. And we fell out of the buy zone, and we're now in the chop zone, making, notice, lower highs and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows right there in the chop zone. So we fell out of the buy zone into the chop zone. So this could be a rollover happening today. Now, usually this kind of leads the market sometimes, so we'll see if they're going to roll over or if they can climb back into the buy zone. Excuse me. Now let's go look at T2123. T2123, green, 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 and then we had some chop and then just some selling happening. So we'll see what happens. They're closing candles up over this falling 200. That's a very good sign for the T2123. All right, closing candles up there. Can they hold it up there or continue this trend? We'll see what happens. So this is the 5-day trend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-day trend that we just had right there. There's T20, 123 in the markets. So let's go take a look at it on the 3-bar chart. On the 3-bar chart, we just, yesterday was all green. So there it is for the 3-bar chart. We turned the 3-bar chart green on the trend indicator. So things could be turning around for the markets. We'll see in the bigger picture. We've got some conflicting data. This is saying green while the 15-minute is kind of saying roll over again. So these could only be green. These might only be green for maybe just a day. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go back and take a look at the Diamond Dow. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here's Diamond Dow. Daily uptrend. Notice kind of moving that trend indicator to the green side. On the Diamond Dow, much different than the others. Did make a higher high, but also made a lower low. So where did the Diamond Dow get rejected? See these tails that stick down right there? That's minor resistance. So we draw a line right through there. See that? Went up there and then got rejected right at the minor resistance area. So where would this start to pull back to? Probably a little quad line midpoint right here. Look for Diamond Dow to probably find some kind of a home, temporary housing right here at the midpoint. We'll see what happens. They could jump up again today. Remember, they're remaining in the upper third up here. That's a good sign. But if they continue to drop further, I would look for them to test this midpoint of this 5-day rally up. So kind of a bearish engulfing there. We'll see if they get follow through on that. That's the Diamond Dow. Now, if we drag the quad lines out a little bit further, you can see they spiked the midpoint, got all the way up into the almost the upper third up there, which was the major minor resistance, minor resistance there, and got sent back down to the midpoint. So we'll see what happens. Notice they closed under the midpoint. That's not a good sign. So there's Diamond Dow. So now let's take a look at some of the other markets. Let's take a look at USO. So here's USO, kind of in that bull flag pattern. And if we look at this, here's their flagpole up. And then we've got our flag coming over right through here. All right. Really, I don't want this to move up, but probably will. Anyways, I'd really rather just see it consolidate for another couple weeks, really cool off after this month long of making this huge flagpole right here. So that would be the flagpole. This is our flag. And if we take a look at that, back out a little bit, you can see here's the low, there's the high, way up in quadrant 4, kind of pushing for new highs up here. So USO really bullish on the daily chart. It could even stand to pull down, slow down and cool off for another couple weeks. Now let's take a look at UNG. UNG, all right, if we back out, way out, you can see we've got a flagpole that comes down right here. And then we've got a bear flag, kind of a big hockey stick right there. So we're just basing along in this flagpole right here. So this is a bear flag. Notice on the bigger picture, big bear flag. Now, drill down. Now this into the flag portion of it. You notice here's the price action just kind of waffling back and forth. And just struggling to stay up here at the midpoint. Looks like it's going to gap up a little higher today. So we do have a little uptrend happening here. We'll see if they can follow through with that up over the $8 mark. But every time they seem to get up here to this $7.75, $8 mark. They face like a harsh rejection all the way back to the midpoint. Sorry about that. So we'll see what happens. Here's our kind of uptrend from the flag. Got winter coming, so things might change. We'll see. There's UNG. All right, possible starting of a new uptrend. Now it's not like they didn't try it before. We got once, twice, 3, 4, 5 failures already. So we'll see what happens. All right, so there's UNG. Let's take a look at SLV. All right, so here's silver, little daily uptrend, breaking this downtrend, but not breaking this bigger picture downtrend right there. All right, so getting rejected at the downtrend line, probably going to come back to the midpoint right here. We'll see what happens, what they want to do with silver, but couldn't quite make it through. Maybe a bull flag is in order for a week or so, and then we can climb up over this long-term downtrend right there. Let's take a look at GLD. So here's gold. Gold's a little bit different, also facing the downtrend. All right, and if we look at the pullback, you can see closing candles up over the midpoint, just like SBY, but not up in quadrant 4 like SLV. Excuse me, I meant SLV. So kind of dealing with this downtrend. We'll see what they want to do, but that is a good sign, very bullish sign. Closing candles up over the midpoint. You can see we moved up, did a little consolidation, another move up. Kind of a measured move thing happening here. Notice that. Go up, consolidate, equal distance up. So nice move in GLD. See if they can follow through with that. So that's it for that one. And let's take a look at what's in the US dollar. So here's US dollar. This is the US dollar index. Here's our sell-off. Here's our recovery, bull 180 right there. And we were bouncing off of this area right here, which was major resistance, now becomes minor support. So we bounced off minor support and are kind of headed back up here to test these highs up here at major resistance up here. So we'll see what happens. Dollar's been kind of stuck there for the last probably 15 hours. So I don't know if they're going to move up, move down, or consolidate right here at the converging moving averages. We'll see what happens. All right, so on the earnings calendar, we had Broadcom report yesterday. According to the pre-market, they are trading down. UBS also trading down in the pre-market. VMware, have not looked at it. Max Pain for today. Max Pain for today is, let me refresh that, 445. All right, so they, market makers could go after 446. We'll see. But on the reverse side, we've got almost a 3-to-1 put to call ratio. They could do a bear squeeze and ratchet it higher with a bear squeeze right there. So we'll see what happens on September 1st. That's today. So take a look at that. And on the economic calendar, we've got the employment situation, which didn't phase us at all yesterday at 8:30. We had an 8:30 jobless claims. Not much was happening there. PMI manufacturing, audit or final, 9:45. And the ISM manufacturing at 10. So we'll see what happens there. Let's go back and take a look at some of the other markets. Let's look at SMH. All right, SMH continues to bull flag. It's a sloppy bull flag, but nonetheless a bull flag. Tackling these highs up here at, see these humps up there? Those would be major resistance up there. So kind of tackling this downtrend and the major resistance area. SMH, very bullish. If you want to see what Intel did yesterday, Intel had a really nice day. See that green candle? Really nice candle up into this resistance line. So there's Intel. So we'll go back to SMH. So SMH moving up higher, making a higher low, higher high. So now let's take a look at IYT. Here's our transports. Transports not quite as strong as the SMH, but we made a higher low and a slightly higher high. Got almost a reversal candle there on IYT, but notice a slightly lower low and a slightly higher high. So not too bad for the transports. Kind of would like to see more, but all in all, it's turning into more of a bear flag. If we look at it, let me remove that. And you can see we've got kind of a flagpole down like this. And then just some consolidation over here to the left, to the right. So it's turning in more into a bear flag. Not much of a recovery here for IYT. But, you know, notice here's the last higher low, making a higher low from this one. We got a little higher lows here, but still in this bear flag that we're looking at. And if we put the quad lines in on this pullback, you can see we're still kind of hanging out here in quadrant 1, the lower part of quadrant 2. So not much of a recovery here for IYT. Not getting that red rubber school ball bounce that we want to see on a nice pullback. So transport's not helping us out this week. All right, let's go take a look at semiconductors. We're doing good. Let's take a look at XLF. Here's XLF. Here's our pullback. We'll put the quad lines in. And you can see here's quad lines. We got rejected at the midpoint with a red candle making a, well, slightly higher high and a lower low. So still in that uptrend. Notice it's still green there. But getting trapped underneath this downtrend line and at the midpoint. So this could possibly H-pattern roll over and make a lower low. We'll see what happens. If they fail to make the higher high, look for price action to, fail and make the lower low. So they could be coming down to this trend line right here. That's a possibility in XLF. All right, traders, I want to wish everybody happy trading today, profitable trading. That's it for me. I'm going to take questions here in the room. I will see you YouTubers. I will post a evening wrap-up probably at about 4 or 5 o'clock. I'll perform another one of those. We got a 3-day weekend. I want to wish everybody a safe and happy weekend. Be safe out there. Have a good time. And happy trading today. All right. Be careful. Be cautious. Follow your trading plans.